Hi, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to discuss in more detail adverbs. I've actually done a video on adverbs before, yet looking back, I realized that it wasn't as substantive as I would have liked. So again, in this video, we're going to be covering adverbs. There's going to be more specifics detailed and more examples provided to give more clarity to what adverbs are and how they can be used. Really quick, before we get into it as well, if you would do me a favor and just subscribe and perhaps also like the video if you do enjoy it at the end. It does help this channel gain reach and to expand. Also, if you want to leave a comment giving a suggestion as far as how I can improve the content or perhaps an idea of what to make a video on next, I would really appreciate it. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at adverbs. So adverbs act as modifiers to verbs, as you would expect in the name, right? But they also modify other adverbs in addition to adjectives. And when I say modify, what I mean is they add detail to or give more information about. And in the first example I have, not the first example, but the first type of information that they provide would be that adverbs can provide a sense of time in a sentence, especially when you're telling a story about something that happened in the past and there's multiple events. They can be set in order, or sequence, I should say, using adverbs. Some examples I include are after, always, before, today, tomorrow. These tell you when something has occurred or will occur. The example that I give here is John will attend a soccer game after he finishes his homework. And so we're just going to kind of dive in, break it, oops, if I can highlight the right part. When we highlight let's look at the sentence by breaking it down into its components so we can identify where our adverb is in relation to the other parts. All right, so John is our subject. He will attend the soccer game after will be our adverb. He finishes, which is going to be our primary verb that after describes, or after is used to modify his homework. So while we do have other verbs like attend, right? The soccer game, we're referring, or rather, the adverb here is referring to the verb finish, or finishes in this case, right? Because it's being used in the proper tense, or it's conjugated differently. Right. Beneath that, I clarify a little bit about how the term after answers the question for when, right? When will John attend the soccer game? Oh, after. The adverb in this case provides a sense of time. Another example that you can use is before I go to the gym, I like to drink water, right? So before I go would be my verb in that case, I would like to drink water. So I'm giving a sense of time or a sequence to what I'm telling the listener. All right, I'm going to scroll down a bit. We have adverbs being used for what are called adverbs of manner. It's not always, it depends on the textbook or the source material that you're using to study English. Sometimes this is referred to as adverbs of feeling, I suppose, or adverbs of, not manner per se, although it's a fitting word, but adverbs of, gosh, sorry, I'm kind of getting stuck. We'll stick with this, adverbs of manner for now. I don't know why this term's escaping me. I'll try to edit it in. But anyway, so adverbs of manner tell you how something happened, right? So the verb tells you what's happening. The adverb describes how that thing is occurring. I know I've already given an example over here, which is Sarah slowly walked, right, over to the, over the rocky beach. So looking first at the sentence, we're going to break it down. We have Sarah being our subject. We know that she walked, we know that she walked, but in what manner did she walk? Oh, well, she walked slowly, right? I just want to make sure I'm being consistent. So, yes, she walked. I'm not being consistent, sorry about that. This should be bolded, this should be italicized. So the manner in which she walked, or the action, would be slowly. If someone were to be hit would be our verb. Pretty boring sentence. You can say you hit hard, right? So the manner in which that you were hit, or you hit, would be hard, right? Describes that action. Whereas there are some cases where you would see the adverb in a sentence, which I'll go ahead and type out. Because it's important to deconstruct. There are occasions where adverbs look exactly like adjectives. And while they can be interchangeable, it depends on how they're used. It helps to define which part of speech it is. So in the example I gave, he hit the wall hard. He being our subject, our verb in this case is hit, and we know the object of that action is the wall. And how did he do it? Oh, well, he hit it hard. Whereas you would see hard and you would think it's referring to, it is the feeling of a material. And there are cases where you can say, well, oh, that's more of an adjective. It's describing a noun, right? It's describing the wall. But no, it's not, because in the sentence we can tell through the way that it's constructed that while the object is there, which is the wall, hard is not being used to modify or describe that word. Instead, it's being used to describe the manner in which the action has taken place, which in this case was you hit it hard. So, especially English learners, when you're taking an exam, like the TOEFL or whatnot, you'll see questions like this, and they'll kind of try to trick you on occasion to see if you misidentify something as an adjective or an adverb. So it's important to deconstruct the sentence and to, when you're identifying those parts of speech, and to see how those words are being used. All right, I've talked enough about this. Oh, sorry, and I also give some examples there as well. Examples of adjectives of manner: badly, beautifully, better, bravely. You'll notice quite a few of them end in ly. This is the case for most adverbs, You'll see that they do tend to end in ly, but this is not always the case. Just in general, you need to be mindful of that, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. We have adverbs of place. You could argue that prepositions would be like an adverb of place as well, except prepositions by their nature describe the relationship of two things in a sentence, right? So, like for example, my computer is on the desk, right? So my computer, being that noun, in relation to the desk, is on the desk. So that would be my preposition. Whereas an adverb is being used to tell you where an action has moved, in a sense, an object, or where the action was directed. So again, going back to the example we have with adverbs of manner, where you could misconstrue some adverbs as adjectives, you really do need to be mindful of the way that they're being used in this case to determine whether or not it's being used as a preposition or if it's an adverb. So some examples I give are above, away, below, down. These are all words, again, that you could say are very similar to prepositions. They're telling you the relationship of one thing compared to another. But you would need to look to see how it's being used in the sentence to identify whether or not it's an adverb. All right. Sorry, it's very hot in here. The example I give here is Susan placed the boxes above the cabinet. So when we deconstruct the sentence, we have Susan being our subject. What did she do? She placed the boxes above the... Am I being inconsistent again? Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm moving this right. Oh, above. Okay, there we go. She placed, so our verb, the boxes above the file cabinet, right? So we know that above refers to the action placed because it's giving you the direction for where she is going to move these boxes, right? As opposed to the boxes sat above the filing cabinet or on the cabinet, really. Then in that case, it would be considered more of a preposition. However, again, this is commenting on her action of placing these boxes. And I also mentioned too, above answers the question, well, where did she place it? All right, scrolling down. Adverbs of degree. This is the one I was thinking of before. So adverbs of degree are sometimes known as adverbs of extent, where they tell you to what extent something is occurring. In this case, to what degree is essentially the same thing, where it tells you how much of something. And this doesn't necessarily mean how much in terms of like monetary value or quantity. It's more of a, like whether something is done lightly or softly or loudly or, or less so or less often. it's more about an extremity, I suppose, right? As opposed to, again, a quantity, whether monetary or otherwise. The examples I have are almost, completely, enough, much, very, too, double O, right? Like she was too loud. Double O implies the extremity. Not the extremity like your outer parts, but more of the extreme, right? So the example I give here is John worked very hard to complete his part of the project. Again, we're going to deconstruct the sentence to determine which part of speech is doing what. So John is our subject. Well, we know he worked would be our verb. Very hard, right? So hard is, I suppose in this case you can say an adjective, right? But I would argue that the phrase here, very hard, would be our adverbial phrase. So very hard is the way that he is working. And I should also mention that in the same way that adjectives can be applied within phrases, the same can be said for adverbs as well. It's not always one word. Sometimes it's a combination of words to create that phrase. So in this case, very hard are acting to describe the manner and the degree to which this person is working. I guess they're similar. All right. Very answers the question, how hard did John work? And I'm just going to kind of speed through these because I feel like I'm belaboring some points that don't necessarily need it. Okay, adverbs of frequency tell you how often something is occurring. Simple examples, rarely, occasionally, sometimes, rare, I think I've already said rarely, always, or never. They're descriptors to tell you, again, the frequency or how often something is occurring. So you can say like, oh, you lift weights very often. Or she rarely goes into the sun, for fear of UVB radiation. I don't know. The example I give is Bob always forgets to check his email before class begins, Deconstructing the sentence again. Bob being our subject, well, he always would be our adverb, well, what does he always forget? Oh, he always forgets. So my action in this case is the thing he's doing is forgetting. Well, how often does he do it? Well, he always forgets it. It's a habit, right? So it's telling you the frequency of that action. Okay, so I'm going to scroll through these just to kind of go through them. Forgive me if I kind of rushed. So adverbs can describe a sense of time. Very important when you're telling a story or providing some background and you need to sequence events. The examples again are now, never, before, after, and you're not limited to just these examples. There's a whole host of others. Let's see. Adverbs of manner. So the way in which something is done. She spoke bravely. He was careless when he rushed into the battlefield. These things which describe the way in which an action is conducted. Adverbs of place, not to be confused with prepositions, as again, when you deconstruct the sentence to see how an adverb is being used, it'll help you make the determination whether or not it's a preposition or an adverb. So if it's referring back to an action of some kind, or perhaps another adverb, rarely though when it comes to place, you can tell right away that, this must be an adverb, okay, if it is in relation to an action. Let's see. Adverbs of degree. So to the extent that something is occurring, right? So, she finished completely, or it was very challenging, or he was working very hard, or very little in this case. And then adverbs of frequency, which tells you in the same way that frequency, it tells you how often something occurs. Same thing. Adverbs determine the rate at which an action is occurring, whether it's done rarely or very often or not at all. It is referring back to an action and the rate at which, again, you can expect to see that action occur, okay? I don't know why this is stressing me out to come up with different ways to say it, but I guess the simpler the better. Alrighty, so we've gone through the different types of adverbs. The examples, again, you're not limited to what you see on screen. There's a whole host of others. I invite you to please leave a comment, offer any kind of suggestion you would like to see as far as content or perhaps delivery of my content. I take it all and I would really appreciate it. For now, I will End this by reminding you also, if you could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Again, it'll help me gain additional reach. All right, I hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to the next video. Bye.